And a very good evening to you. Watching the news from the Cyprus Broadcasting Corporation, I'm Nathan Morley in Nicosia. Campaigning ahead of tomorrow's parliamentary elections has come to a close. In line with voting legislation, broadcasting, advertising, publishing news or announcements, be it paid or unpaid, which are directly or indirectly related to the elections, is banned. The island's chief returning officer, Lazaros Savidis, announced that from midnight all political party billboards should have been removed. Voting begins tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning and will close at 6:30 in the afternoon with 1 hour break at lunch. This will be the same for all polling stations in Greece, whilst in Britain polls will open at 8 o'clock in the morning and close at 4:30 in the afternoon with a half-hour break at 12 noon. Some 1,203 polling stations will be up and running for tomorrow's elections. In Greece, polling stations will operate in Athens, Patras, Salonika, and in Britain they will be in Manchester and London. And of course, here at the CYBC, there will be up-to-the-minute coverage of the elections on CYBC 1, with commentary from analysts and live links with our reporters across the island. At 6:30 in the afternoon, results from our exit poll will be broadcast during a special programme which will run from 5:30 in the afternoon until early morning. That's all on CYBC 1. Here on this channel you can catch the latest developments at 6:50 p.m. and then a special late night news broadcast will be here in English at 11 p.m. and extra news bulletins will be on CYBC Radio 2 at 1:30 in the afternoon, 8 o'clock, then we have a live bulletin at 11 p.m. President Christofias has urged the island's citizens to go to the polls tomorrow and exercise their right to vote so that they do not permit others, as he put it, to decide for them. In his message, the President said he was confident that tomorrow the people will once again demonstrate their political awareness and the high standard of democracy which, as a community, they've achieved in the past half-century of the Republic of Cyprus's existence. President Christofias also assured the people that all of the necessary measures have been taken to ensure fair elections. In closing, he called on people to actively participate and exercise their voice and to be a role model for the country and for the community's present and future. More than 2,000 police officers will be out in force for tomorrow's election in a bid to avert any violations of the voting law. The Nerve Centre here in the capital coordinates the police in all districts across the island, and there will also be a police presence at polling stations to keep everything in check. The central prisons are also gearing up for elections, with 8 polling stations being set up for the prison grounds inmates who will have the chance to vote as well. A young father of 2 died in a road accident in the early hours of this morning in Mosphiloti village. Panayotis Michael, who was just 27, lost control of his car on the Nicosia to Limassol road, which flipped over on the tarmac a number of times. He was thrown out of the car through the passenger seat window from the force of the accident and died. According to reports, he was not wearing a seatbelt. The Limassol to Nicosia motorway was flooded with watermelons earlier today after a road accident. A 34-year-old woman collided into a truck carrying the fruit on their way to market on the road close to Kornos. The woman suffered chest injuries and was taken to Larnaca General Hospital, where medics said her condition was not serious. Due to the accident and the rogue watermelons on the road, the left lane of the motorway had to be closed for cleaning purposes. A passenger in the woman's car was not injured, whilst the 51-year-old watermelon merchant and his 15-year-old daughter were also unhurt. The former head of the IMF has been released from a New York City jail after posting $1 million cash bail. Dominic Strauss-Kahn, who denies charges of attempting to rape a hotel maid, is to be kept in home detention at a temporary location in Manhattan. He had earlier agreed to be confined to a luxury flat, but reports suggest residents there refused to accept him. He is to be kept under 24-hour guard and will wear a monitoring bracelet. His accuser is a 34-year-old originally from Guyana in West Africa who reportedly told authorities that Mr. Strauss-Kahn had accosted her after she entered his hotel room to clean it. Strauss-Kahn denies the allegations on the 6th of June and is set to enter a plea early next month. French Finance Minister Christine Lagarde was in pole position to take over the IMF top job as many of Europe's capitals rallied behind her today. She's been praised for her role in tackling the European debt crisis and for her experience, with France this year chairing the group of 20 in handling the often conflicting economic demands of advanced and developing economies. The IMF has been run by a European ever since it was created at the end of World War II. But emerging economies have long wanted more say in how the global financial body is run. Asian, Middle Eastern and African diplomats at the IMF headquarters in Washington said emerging nations were seeking a consensus candidate. But the former Turkish economy minister Kemal Dervish, seen as the frontrunner amongst potential non-European contenders, has ruled himself out of the running. Syrian human rights groups said security forces shot dead at least 44 civilians in attacks on pro-democracy demonstrators that erupted across Syria yesterday. The head of the Syrian National Organization for Human Rights said more than half were killed in northwest province of Idlib, where tanks deployed to crush large demonstrations against the rule of President Bashar al-Assad. The protests broke out in defiance of a military crackdown that another rights group says has killed more than 800 civilians in the past 9 weeks. Assad has largely dismissed the protests as serving a foreign-backed conspiracy to sow sectarian strife in the country. Hundreds of young Spaniards camped out in Madrid and other cities today to protest against high unemployment and austerity. The number of protesters, dubbed the Indignant, was expected to swell by this evening after 25,000 people crammed into Madrid's main plaza overnight. Protesters were also gathered in Barcelona, Valencia, Sevilla, Bilbao and other cities, as they've been all week, urging people not to vote for Spain's two main parties in Sunday's local elections. Fearing violent clashes, the socialist government has not enforced a ban, which went into effect at midnight and prohibits political events on the eve of the elections. The Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, who has failed to contain the highest unemployment in the European Union at 21.3%, said he respected the protesters. Youth unemployment in Spain has hit 45%. The iconic 60s pop star Kathy Kirby has died aged 72 after a short illness. She was best known for her cover version of Secret Love back in 1963, but during her career had 2 top 10 hits and 3 other singles in the top 40. Nicknamed the Golden Girl of Pop, she'll also be remembered for representing the United Kingdom in the Eurovision Song Contest with the song I Belong, which came second to Luxembourg back in 1965. And that's our news. Let's take a look at the weather forecast, which isn't too bad. Good weather, in fact, for tomorrow. Some high cloud cover, but winds will be light to moderate, north-east to south-east, turning westerly on the north coast, force 3 over slight seas. Temperatures are expected to reach 29 degrees Celsius inland, 27 on the south and east coast, 25 in the north and west, and 21 degrees Celsius up in the mountains. And that's it. We're back tomorrow. 2 bulletins tomorrow. We're on at 6:50, and then a late election bulletin is on the air at 11 p.m. From us all here, good night.